Welcome to Crawlspace. I'm Tim here today with Lance. Lance, how are you today?
Doing fantastic today, Tim, but I got a bone to pick with you. I'm just kidding. Well, I hope everyone out there is feeling great as well. Tim, you were very upset during this interview. Are you still upset? How are you?
No, I am still very upset. We've got Dr. Shiloh from LA Not So Confidential in this conversation. We've also got her daughter, Sydney, who's a podcaster of her own, joining us in this conversation that was recorded live on our social media platforms as part of our Crime and Culture Night just about a couple of weeks ago. But Lance, we're speaking about hauntings. We're speaking about specifically a haunted doll that Sydney owns. And they are acting like this isn't creepy in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, you were very let down by the lack of actual creepiness in this interview. We had Sydney on with her mom, Dr. Shiloh, to help promote Sydney's podcast, Beyond the Gravestone. So subscribe to Beyond the Gravestone. And a huge element of this podcast and a huge element of the lives of Sydney and Shiloh and their family is Sydney's haunted doll, Lori. And she goes out of her way to say Lori is a happy individual. Lori is not a malicious entity. She has attached herself to the doll, and she is a good spirit and has always provided good vibes. Shiloh even said when we were in Savannah on the ghost tour, she held the doll and she was like, I feel better holding the doll. So there's nothing spooky about Lori, and it's almost like she's a part of their family.
You know what's spooky right now to me? I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone and everyone's like, oh, this isn't spooky. This is just a haunted doll. This isn't spooky. Well, guess what? It is spooky. It's creepy. Sorry, Sydney. Sorry, Shiloh. But I'm not sorry.
You're very worked up about it. You're very animated about it because expectations were set at an unrealistic level for you, I think. And
I guess so.
You did have a couple of moments during the interview that were, I don't want to go as far as to say aggressive, but yeah, it just sort of bubbled over, I think, for you. And it concerned Sydney. She actually asked you if you were okay.
Yeah, and I'm not. I'm still not. Okay.
And no. You're not. Don't come to I get what you're saying. Don't come to the table with a haunted doll and then explain to us what the definition of haunted is. And it's really not a negative definition. It means simply that something is attached to an animate object. So, yeah, don't Sydney-splain us.
Hey, God forbid we try to creep our audience out on the show called Crawlspace.
On Halloween. Well, now I'm on that side. Now I got a bone to pick with Sydney.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, definitely subscribe to Beyond the Gravestone and her first podcast, Career Quest. You can find links in the show notes. And also subscribe to LA Not So Confidential as if you don't already.
Right. If you don't, unsubscribe and then subscribe again and tell a friend. And you can follow Sydney on Twitter at CareerQuestPod. Podcast by Sydney if you want to just search that. It's a really fun show. And even in her intro, she references Lori, and it's a really funny moment. She says that Lori is her haunted doll co-host that doesn't say anything. And then she's like, say hi, Lori. And then nothing happens, but it's hilarious.
I'm pretty sure I heard her growl, like some really evil like growl. Like I had to bring the audio into my editing software to find this growl, but I saw it there in the waveform. So the doll is not friendly. The doll is growling.
Doll's growling at you.
And if you love what we do here at Crawlspace, check out our subscription show. You can access it at crawlspace.supportingcast.fm. We've actually bundled the Crawlspace and the missing subscription services together, and we deliver ad-free episodes as well as a weekly bonus show that we just know you're going to love.
And there's a lot of other elements that are going to be available to our subscribers. We're working through it. We keep saying it. There was a lot of wrinkles. So we're ironing out those wrinkles. We have an ironing board. We have a steamer. So we're going to steam out some of the wrinkles too. And soon it'll be a well-oiled machine.
I feel like this is a Benjamin Button situation where we started wrinkled and we're ironing it out as we go. All right, everyone, follow us on social media at Crawlspace Podcast or Crawlspace Pod. Thank you for listening. here we are tonight, joined by Dr. Shiloh and her daughter, Sydney. How are you two doing tonight?
Hi, guys. We're doing well. Thanks for having us.
I'm doing good.
Sydney's not sure how she's feeling with her first live stream.
It's okay. There's only 42,000 people watching. We're actually streaming it to Times Square as well. But Tim, you're playing with fire there by not introducing Lori the doll.
Oh, this is Lori.
Sydney can introduce her.
She's 37 years old. And she owns this doll. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Well, enough said.
Yeah. No. I want to get into this for sure. But first, Shiloh and Sydney, you've got several podcasts. Between the two of you, you've got at least 3 podcasts that I know of off the top of my head.
Yes.
Can you describe these podcasts to us?
It's like Sydney has no respect for my life and my time. She's just like, Mom, I need to produce another podcast with you. You want to tell them about your first podcast?
Okay, so my first podcast is called Career Quest. I basically interview people for their jobs, and like I talk about like their experiences and stuff on there, and it's for kids. Yes.
You interview people for a job, or you interview people about their current jobs?
About their current jobs.
Oh, okay. That is awesome. Where did you get that idea?
I don't remember. That was a long time ago.
It was. Obviously, I think she saw that I was doing podcasting from home and took an interest in it. And she decided one day that she wanted to start her own podcast. So her dad and I said, come up with an idea and we'll support it. It's easy enough to do now that I know what I'm doing. And that's what she came up with. She said that, if I remember correctly, she said, I want to help kids decide what they want to be when they grow up. So why don't I just interview a different adult about their job every week? And that's when she was 7 that she came up with this idea.
Oh God, I'm a mastermind.
I know. I was like, it's brilliant. You'll make $1 million. We'll all be living off of you one day. And yeah, so we put out the first season in 2019. So she's done 3 seasons and it drops every January. She does 10 episodes a season.
Fantastic.
That is amazing. Such a great idea. And did it help you decide what you want to do, or just getting some insight into a lot of careers?
Kind of. Like I got to pick what like I kind of like wanted to do. But I don't think I've interviewed anybody about the job I want yet.
True, but I feel like when you interviewed the executive director of Heritage Square, you got the idea. So why don't you tell them about like how that prompted you to think about what you want to do now?
So like when I was interviewing her, she was like, and like how they move the furniture around and like the
Well, tell them what
houses.
Heritage Square is.
Oh, Heritage Square Museum is this place in LA with all these old Victorian houses that were like taken there because they were going to be like torn down. So they basically saved them there and like restore them and like keep them there. Like,
okay. So then Tim's nodding his head. I feel like you guys know this place
Yes.
from being in LA before.
I never visited, but I was familiar with the name. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you were interviewing her.
Yeah, and she was talking about how they like move the furniture around, and I was saying how like I love like doing that. I don't know, like games and stuff, and like just seeing like the final product is like so amazing to me. So
she thought she might be interested in interior design. That's kind of where she's leaning right now.
Sydney, tell us about your new podcast, because I am on the edge of my seat about this one. And this has got me feeling a little uneasy already.
So basically it's about me sharing my experiences and interviewing people for their experiences, or like if they're like a medium or like a psychic, or if they're like, I don't know, do you call it ghost hunter? I think you call it ghost
Paranormal investigator.
Yes, that. if they do that, and like I don't know, like what's their most craziest experiences.
Sydney's a very spooky kid.
Yes.
Like loves spooky stuff. She doesn't scare me, but tell them about what you mean by your experiences though. Talk about when it first started.
So I guess it first started kind of last year when weird stuff started happening. So I was like, I don't know, sleeping or whatever. And then I feel like a breath on my ear. Like I also hear it. Like it's the weirdest, like it literally felt like someone was breathing on my ear when I was sleeping. And so I got super scared. And what a kid does, they just put their head under the covers. So that's exactly what I did. And I did that probably for like 2 nights. And then like, I was like, whatever, it was probably just the wind or whatever. And so I stick my head out and I feel something like press down on my head, like trying to push me back down. And that scared me. So obviously I just put my head back under the covers and acted like nothing happened. But then I don't know, maybe a month or a few weeks later, I like was brushing out all my doll's hair for no reason because I have a problem. But so I was just doing that and I see out of the corner of my eye behind me, I see like this foot, just like a foot, like
a disembodied foot.
Yeah, like it was like black, like a like black colored foot. Why can't I speak?
Was it?
Oh my God.
Was there a shoe on the foot?
No,
or it was
like a straight up barefoot. And it looked like it was about to take a step. And so I turn around and it's totally gone.
We've lived in this house for 17 years up until that point.
Nothing.
Never experienced anything. And my husband and I were skeptics. See how she gave me that side eye? Not anymore.
Like, if you dare say that, get off this live stream.
But it was like nothing before this.
So like, I just saw that and I didn't speak of it for probably months. And then.
Oh, okay. Sorry to interrupt. I need to take it back to when you saw the foot. You were brushing that doll's hair.
No, I didn't have her yet.
Okay, different doll. Was this like through a mirror? You saw it through a mirror and you turned around, or you said like out of the corner of your eye?
I was just like, I don't know what I was doing. I just like kind of turned around and I saw the corner of my eye behind me, like just a foot, and then I fully turned around and it was gone.
And I was going to ask if you immediately told anybody, but then you just said that it was a couple of months or a few months before you said anything?
Yeah, I didn't say anything. I literally remember just throwing the doll across my room or whatever and going up to my mom and be like, hey, what are you doing? Just like, I literally went up to you on your bed, just, so what are you doing on your computer? Like,
didn't tell me, but came to just be in a safe space.
Don't let me be alone.
Yeah.
So.
And when you turned, it was gone.
Yeah.
Okay. And what made you decide to tell your mom eventually?
I don't really remember. It might have been when I got her that I started telling you.
It seemed like from the timeline that I can gather, because she didn't tell me right away, but soon after that, she started getting more interested in sort of paranormal things. Mm-hmm. YouTube is a wealth of information. So of course, YouTube. Kind of like looking at other people's experiences there, I think. And then it was just before Christmas last year, right?
Yeah.
That we ended up finding Lori. So Lori, the doll used to be mine. And I had a whole collection of porcelain dolls that are up in a box in the garage somewhere. And so we were either getting Halloween or Christmas decorations down.
Nope. I just wanted to see them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I just straight up wanted to see
them. So we got those down, and then Lori really, Sydney really connected with Lori. But by that time, you didn't have dowsing rods.
No, I was using the ButcherBox app.
Tell them what a ButcherBox app is.
So basically on my phone, I have this app called Necrophonic, and I don't know how to explain, just it says, I guess, what they say, it connects with them. I'm sorry, I hate you. And when I asked if this one was haunted, because for some reason I was doing that, it just kept repeating Lori, 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 just like over and over. And then finally I asked it again and it said yes. So I just like kept it.
So we kept Lori.
But like, I really want to talk about a weird experience that I didn't share on my podcast in the introduction.
Okay.
So I was in the office. I was like over there. You can't see it, at my dad's desk doing homework. And I was just like staring off at the wall for no reason because I didn't want to do my homework. Who does? Nobody.
Great question.
Yes. And I just get this like weird picture of this lady. She like has her hands on my shoulders and she's just standing there looking down at me. And it was so freaky because it just came out of nowhere.
So this was just a vision in your head.
Yeah. Like it just came out of nowhere. And I just like turn around, nothing there, obviously. And when you had your desk over behind us, I turned around and I told you like what happened. And you're like, weird. Now continue doing your homework. Just like,
so it was around that time that Sydney started realizing that she was having some experiences that were connecting her more with energies, paranormal, spirits, and she kind of leaned into that and is learning to navigate that territory. So I think that's also really the theme throughout the podcast, is her just sort of talking out how this has all come to be in the last year or so and how she's trying to figure it out.
When you had this image of the woman with her hands on your shoulders, this was something that popped into your head. Were your eyes open or closed? Did it
They were
like,
open.
cause you to, they were open, okay. And then just pop right in your head.
Yeah.
What did you, were you able to make out what she looked like or how old she was?
She had like long hair. To be honest, she kind of looked like Lori, but I know it's not Lori because she told me it wasn't her.
Okay.
But like, I don't know, maybe 50s or 40s. That's like kind of what she looked like.
And you just said something there that's very interesting that I don't want to ignore. She kind of looked like Lori, the spirit that's haunting your doll, but she told you she wasn't Lori. So
with my dowsing rods.
Lori
okay,
told Sydney that it wasn't her.
Yes.
Yes. Please tell us this story. So you used your dowsing rods to find out who the woman was?
Yeah, it was probably Christmas when I got it, and so I was just like,
Also a gift from Uncle Scott, the dowsing rods.
Of course.
Of all the gifts that Sydney got, you know, the $15 dowsing rods were her favorite.
Yes. Those $15 ones I could have probably like made. Yeah, those are the best ones.
Can't put a price on these things.
Forget the hundreds of dollars, you know, spent on her else otherwise.
The $15 one.
So that's primarily how she communicates with Lori.
Yeah.
And so that's how you found out that Lori is 37?
Yes. Like, I think I was like, when I started using them more and kind of connecting with her, I got like that she was kind of like in her 30s and I guess 37. And was it when we were trying to figure out the date she died? I think it was that. It was me and Shelby. We were on a call and we were trying to figure out when Lori died and when she was born. And that's when we found out she was 37.
I just remembered in your in the first trailer to Beyond the Gravestone, you said that I don't know if you said your co-host is Lori, and
my
she doesn't
silent
talk.
co-host.
Silent co-host, and you like say hi, and then there's nothing. It's hilarious.
Yes, I love that. That's like the best part in it.
Well, what's funny is like I was expecting to hear something too, which made it even funnier.
There you go.
Imagine if you heard something though. It's like we didn't even edit it in. You
I
just
know.
hear
Oh,
something.
Ooh,
could you
an
imagine
EMF.
you go back and you look at the audio wave after, and there's like a little blip there, and then you'd like highlight it, and you
You're
should
like,
look at that. Yeah.
Just-
And we'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors.
Thanks to our sponsors, and now we're back to the program. So Shiloh, when Sydney starts telling you about this, where's your head at?
So we actually, in episode 3 that will come out, Sydney interviews me about sort of how this all happened, but also my perspective on it. I think being very much a skeptic all my life, okay, but then you hear it from your own kid's mouth, right?
Mhm.
So there's these sort of dual experiences going on for me. And interestingly, I think it was last October, Scott and I did an episode on parapsychology and just kind of looking at research and science and what's there and what isn't yet. And through that experience, I really came away saying, okay, I think there's a lot science can't explain yet. And then that's my comfortable spot to kind of be with this. And don't doubt her for a second. I haven't from the beginning. And I've always wanted her to just feel supported. And whatever this experience will lead to, whether her gifts sort of strengthen or maybe one day they kind of fizzle out because she gets older and she becomes an adult and is, consumed by all the adult stuff. I know.
They're just like, you better not say something wrong. And they're like staring at you the whole time.
We're just kind of writing it for what it is. But I know she's in a place where she's very comfortable letting us know about experiences. I've always been that skeptic that's like, okay, I'm skeptical, but I want to know all the stories, like tell me everything and let's go to spooky places. So I think that feeds her well too, because I'll find locations. And, when we were in Savannah with you, Lance, was like, all right, we're definitely booking a ghost tour, and checking all of our pictures and videos afterwards to see if we caught anything. So, that piece is certainly fun. I still have yet to really have any experiences. Have I heard something in the house? I know
you heard like that little girl that me and Shelby were talking to say mom, like,
yeah, I thought I have heard Sydney saying mom, which is probably like the most common word that's uttered in this house. So
and then you'll come in and I'll be like, what?
I asked
what do you
if
want
it's
from
her.
me?
But then recently my husband also thought he heard her saying mom.
Yeah.
And I wasn't home.
He thought
so
it was
he was
coming like from the gym, and he comes in and I'm in my room.
Yeah. So yeah, I really, but I haven't had anything else solid other than that I've experienced, but I think I'm pretty closed off to it. So
Okay, now tell me more about Lori the doll, and you mentioned the house. This house seems like a house of horrors at this point. No, I'm just kidding.
Voices. There's probably flies that are all over the windows.
Yeah.
Have there been experiences in the house before? The past year or so.
No, I think when we started talking about this, my dad, who comes down and stays pretty often with us, he comes down several times a year from Northern California and will stay for weeks. He finally said to Sydney, like, oh, I've like seen shadows in the house before. Which
were you bringing here?
And now that I'm thinking about it, I think he's tried to like tell me that before, and I'm like, I don't want to hear it. Just zip where you're at. I don't want to hear it.
Papa.
I know. Papa's probably watching right now too. So hi. But really, no. And we've had animals, nothing weird. I will say, of course, this is in hindsight. I remember getting a very eerie feeling when she was a baby one time, where she was sort of looking up into the hallway up towards the ceiling. Seemed like she was interacting with something, and I was just like, okay, don't even turn around.
Always when you're a baby.
Babies do this.
It's always when you're a baby.
But it was just once. It was
only once.
All it takes is once.
I know. Oh, and we set out the REM pod.
Right there.
This device in the back of the room.
Oh, yeah.
If you go off, it's hot. Yeah.
You have to be close to it to.
Oh my God. Hold on. I need to reset it now.
Sorry. We got to reset the REM pod.
You have to reset it now. So we have somebody in the chat named SC that says we need to take Sid to Northern State Hospital here in Washington. Is it haunted?
From what I understand, it's supposed to be. It's an old asylum, perhaps. That's now abandoned. I don't know.
Oh, abandoned.
Will this be like a special season of Beyond the Gravestone where you travel to haunted locations and maybe bring Lori with you and some dowsing rods?
Well, one, I always bring my dowsing rods and Lori. Lori
Lori is part of the family. She goes.
She was in our Christmas photos.
She was in our Christmas card last year. Christmas photos. She's traveled to more places than I did in my first few years of life.
Now, what happens if Lori doesn't make it? What if you pack up the car, you're off for the day, and whoops, we forgot Lori. Too late. We're already stuck in traffic on the freeway. We can't turn around now.
We did that once.
Most likely, like I think most of the time her spirit comes, but she likes staying near her doll.
Okay, and is there a difference between her spirit? You've mentioned her spirit now. Is that connected to the doll? Or is it that of someone who was once living?
Well, yeah, she lived once in her life. And when you mean haunted, they're basically attached. It doesn't mean like they see through the doll or they're inside of it, but like they kind of stay near the object they're attached to. Like haunted houses, they have a lot of activity because things are haunted to it. That means they're attached, so they like to stay near the house.
That's pretty cool that like that definition of haunted, because it used to never mean like supernatural. It just used to mean this is something that people are attached to. Mm-hmm. And then I don't even know where along the lines it became supernatural, but that's what you're saying about Lori, that is the object that she has attached herself to.
Yes.
Yeah, like last week, Sydney and I were at Disneyland, and we did not bring Lori. We brought Lori when we've stayed at the hotel before, but we didn't bring the doll with us. Yeah. But Sydney was like, she's definitely here. Like I can tell her energy's here with us. And the happiness she had during it, like I could feel her happiness. Like she was super excited because I don't think Haunted Mansion. Yeah. I'm not sure if she actually went on it. Oh, it's ironic. She doesn't like scary things and she's a ghost.
Okay, so it never happened that she was left at home, maybe accidentally, and then she was mad at you,
No, Lori never gets mad. Moved. She's so sweet. She would never get mad. She just gets disappointed. Like,
okay.
Like, I've probably only seen her sad like once. I've never seen her angry. She like never gets mad.
There is a good energy about this doll. I was holding her when we were on our walking tour in Savannah, and it's so like, it's weird to describe, and that these words are even coming out of my mouth, but she had just like a great energy where I just felt like happy holding her. It wasn't like, oh, I feel safe or secure.
It's just happiness. Like, yeah, you're being around someone like you love being around, and like they have this happy energy. It's like that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's make it very clear that even though the doll is haunted by Lori is not a spirit, an entity that is looking to cause any harm. She's just she's just there like with you.
Yeah,
she has feelings too, and she's always nice.
Then the next episode that's coming out next week is more about Lori and her story, because Lori has been able to tell us where she was when she passed, a little bit about her background, where she came from, things like that.
Oh, well, I really need, like, I feel like if I was your age, Sydney, living in this house, I think I would be experiencing more things. I feel like because my soul has been battered down into my adulthood.
You're like, no.
I feel like it's not opening up as much as I want it to, as much as I try to have it open up. But whatever is here is kind of similar, I think, to Lori. It's like a really good energy, and when things do happen, it's very playful. It's not anything that you feel threatened by.
Okay, that's good.
So yeah, I just probably need some techniques to open myself up a little.
You know what, Lance? I don't want to hear it. And Sydney, I'm getting this close to not wanting to hear it from you too. This is Halloween season. What the hell?
You have me on.
What are we talking about here? We're talking about Casper the Friendly Ghost over here? For Christ's sake.
You want something sinister?
Yes.
That's not good.
What are we doing here?
Are you the real ghost here?
I'm definitely haunted.
And we'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors.
Thanks to our sponsors, and now we're back to the program. Okay, sorry for that outburst. What about like Annabelle or any of those movies or anything? Are these movies that you've watched at this point?
She hasn't watched Annabelle.
And
Okay.
I wish not to.
She loves like classic stuff. She's like, can we watch Halloween again this year? I'm just like, okay. I
Michael
guess.
Myers Halloween.
Yeah.
Michael Myers.
She really likes classic, like Universal monster stuff.
Yes.
So we did Halloween Horror Nights for the first time this year.
Oh no, don't talk about that.
She lasted a couple of good hours. So
Oh, good.
When it was
That's
daytime.
so much fun.
What about
Yeah.
the Twilight Zone?
Well, and it was even worse because it was night. It was even worse.
yeah.
But do you like being in having that? Do you like being scared when you're watching a movie?
Sort of. I have
Okay.
to make fun of the characters to make myself not scared.
Oh wow, that's what
I
I do
would
with our
say-
guests when we have guests on the show.
I would say she likes to be intrigued, like a little more
Curious.
curious about it. So I definitely think more of like the paranormal theme rather than like horror jump scare stuff.
What about Trick or Treat?
We haven't seen that. I haven't seen that movie.
Oh, really?
it worth
That's a
it?
really good one. Yeah, it's
Yeah?
really good. It's like an anthology. There's like 3 stories there, and it's on the younger side. Like it's not crazy horror. It's definitely spooky
Okay.
and really interesting and good. But
Okay.
it's not. It's actually like younger horror. I would call it. Yeah.
Good.
So
yeah.
that might be right. If you're already watching Halloween, I think you'd be okay with Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
Yeah, we balance it. There's a lot of hocus pocus, Beetlejuice in the house too. So
Yes. Good.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I feel like Beetlejuice is a good choice.
Mhm.
Yep. We just watched it last night. Good stuff. We love this time of year.
So when does Beyond the Gravestone officially kick off?
Episode 1 came out today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Very
we're dropping
good.
every Monday. The first 3 episodes are her talking about some experiences, but like she was saying, she does want to interview people about their own ghost stories and experiences. And then also people in the industry. She has an interview lined up to talk to someone who does historical research and curates walking tours, a paranormal investigator. And she's hoping to get her favorite psychic medium interviewed, who is someone that Scott and I interviewed for our Behind the Couch live stream. And we're probably going to be doing a paranormal investigation with her at Heritage Square next month. So hopefully she will agree to do Sydney's podcast too, to talk about her experiences.
Yeah, is the entire series going to have that like very, I guess, like relaxed atmosphere, because it's very comforting when you hear it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not spooky to listen to.
Right.
No, I don't want to make it sound scary because I don't want people to go like, "Oh, I don't like this stuff." Like,
Exactly. Yeah. Good.
obviously
good.
people need to know there's not always good spirits, but still, I don't want to make it seem like they're all bad.
Yeah, exactly. And you said something in that introduction about how some people might have this ability and some people, like, maybe everybody has this ability, but some people might not have opened themselves up to it, or they don't allow themselves to have it. So I just wanted to get your feelings on that. Do you feel like everybody has the ability to connect with entities that are on the other side, and they're just, for whatever reason, blocking that?
I'm not really sure, but it might be that it's stronger for other people and not as strong for other people. So it might be different for everybody.
But ultimately, everybody has the potential.
If they want to, at least.
And probably is
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
What's your feelings on Ouija boards? If we're saying, if you have a potential to contact someone from beyond the grave, would you ever say like, well, the first thing you should do is grab a Ouija board?
No.
So
Because
the last thing you should do?
yes, I feel like it's easier. It's probably easier for, I don't know, bad things, demonic things, whatever you want to call it, to communicate through that, because they can basically say anything on that.
So it's not just yes or no.
Yeah.
They have the option to like spell things out.
Yeah.
Things like that.
And they also have like probably like the option to try to summon more things with it, since there's other words on it. So they could like, I don't know, try to chant something on it.
See, I think that's so interesting because from my perspective and looking at like culturally and historically, and also through a skeptic lens, right? Like really, what's the difference between that and dowsing rods? If you're just asking questions and hoping that something moves this object to communicate with you. But every time she has been like, Mom, can I get a Ouija board? Or we see one at a store and I'm like, hell no, you can't. Like it just has that connotation attached to it.
Yeah. It always has
Well,
a bad feeling.
But at the end of the day, like what's the difference? I don't know.
But maybe for the podcast, I think we could probably
just trying to
talk
ramp
her
it
into
up.
this.
Like,
Sydney,
it
I
would be
mean,
that bad.
Well, so what do you have? What total, like what equipment do you have that you use already?
I have my REM pod back there, my EMF meter, my dowsing rods. I have pendulums. I don't use those as much. I prefer not using those. The
Spirit
app.
Box app.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. We went to we did an experience at Heritage Square where they kind of taught you every technique that they would use in Victorian times to try and communicate with the dead. And so like in each house, they would teach you a different technique. So there was the pendulum and like holding that over a piece of paper that maybe had some
I actually talked to
writings
Lori
on
that
it.
when
Oh,
I
you
was
did?
in there. Yeah.
Oh, cool. And then like just seeing, a blank piece of paper with a pencil and seeing if something will write through you. Oh, why don't you tell the story when we were they had you hold old objects. Tell that story.
is it spooky?
Yes,
spooky?
of course it is.
You'll like this one.
Perfect.
Tim.
Perfect. Okay, great.
Basically, we were staying in the Hale house. So we were like passing around objects, and I got handed that's the Hale house, these old objects, and I got these glasses,
like eyeglasses, old
yeah,
eyeglasses.
they're super small too. Like, let me say, I was wearing this jacket, and like it kind of was like, I don't know, like
Had a collar.
It had a collar, and I feel someone's hand go like this on my neck, like a whole entire hand. And the fact that I was like wearing like a collar with the jacket was crazy. And I immediately turned to look at you. I was like,
yeah, not to mention I was sitting right next to you, so I could see if someone had been touching.
I was
you.
like, did you just do that? But like it was super weird. And I told you, I think I told you right after.
Mm-hmm.
And then after like it was all done, we went in front of that house and turned on the Spirit Box app and asked who did it, got what the name was again.
So the tour ended. We asked, hey, can we go back over there with our Spirit Box and just ask a couple questions? And they said, yeah, of course. So the Spirit Box app was actually very quiet. Usually it's very chatty and it's hard to like make out a lot of it. But she asked the question, who touched my neck when I was in the house? And clear as day, I heard it say William. And I was like, okay. So we went back over to where the staff was and we told them what happened. And they said, oh, the house next door, that's the William Perry house. And
stop it.
No, I'm serious. Yeah, I knew it as the Perry house, but I didn't know the dude's first name. And then I heard that clear as day.
It was on the outside of your jacket, or it went like under the collar?
Like inside, like I felt someone's hand on my neck.
So through the jacket.
And it said William. All right. Does it record the Spirit Box? How does that work?
I kind of want to go get my phone.
It sounds like almost like you're tuning through a radio.
Yeah.
Yep.
And voices come through, and it's like you'll hear voices, male voices, female voices, sort of different tones and things like that. So not the way that Sydney has explained it to me is it's not always like if a woman is speaking through it, it doesn't always come through in a woman's voice. It's just sort of using words that are in there. Does that make sense?
Like if it sounds like an adult, it might be a kid. Like,
and because you said that basically spirits can kind of present themselves at whatever age they want to, right?
Like Kelsey, she saw her as a little girl, when I see Lori when she's 37.
So Sydney sees Lori in your mind, right? You have not
it's
seen
like
a
these
vision
like vision
of her.
things.
Like she hasn't seen an apparition of Lori.
Yeah, in like person.
Lori communicates with her through your mind, and you also get visions. But when Scott and I were interviewing Kelsey Davies, who's a psychic medium, we were telling her about Lori, and she's like, I think I see Lori in the room, like right here where we were broadcasting. And she's like, but she's presenting as a little girl to me. But you know, they can present kind of however they want or whatever age.
Interesting. And
like, I'm just going to say Lori looks like her doll, except I see her with her hair down.
So do you think that Lori picked that doll because she saw a resemblance to herself?
Yes. So Lori, like, she wears a dress like this, except her dress is like a lighter blue. But she thought it looked really like her, and she thought it was very beautiful. That's why she chose it.
And then she growled.
Why do you want all the bad stuff?
And then blood came out of her eyes?
Right.
Yeah, I'm like waiting for him to say that now.
Let me ask you guys a question, Shiloh and Sydney. How many people were at Halloween Horror Nights when you went? Maybe like a dozen, maybe 15 people, something like that?
You mean in our group?
No. How many people were there when you went?
Oh my God. People were waiting in line for like 3 hours for one maze.
Oh, so you're saying that people come from all over, from miles and miles to be scared?
Are you okay?
Yes.
Are you okay? That's just my question.
No, I'm not.
This is a child's podcast. This is not Halloween Horror Nights. We're gonna sage after this, just in case you like.
Yeah, what are you trying to bring in here?
Jordan from the Nighttime Podcast just popped in.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. He said, what in the cursed doll is happening here? Which is a great question. Sydney, is there a difference between your doll being haunted and being cursed?
Being cursed is like witchcraft, and being haunted is she's attached to the doll.
You didn't even hesitate.
Cursed, I'd throw her into the dumpster.
Wow.
I'm sorry to say.
That wouldn't anger the spirits at all.
You have to burn her, though, if she was cursed. You have to burn her and throw her
sink
into
her in the river.
A wood chipper, and then sink her, put her in a chest, and lock it with a
like if
padlock.
When we get these like weird dolls or see them, me and my friends are like, if we saw that thing in the middle of the night, we'd throw it across our room, throw it out our window into our pool.
Yeah, so like Robert the doll and Annabelle, those are cursed?
Yes.
Okay.
But the pool's not going to do it. I mean, maybe the chlorine will get them eventually, but
yeah,
you know,
don't swallow.
It'll just make them really clean.
So actually, when she started, like when she felt the breath on her face, when she saw the foot, we had gone to an estate sale, and we got a doll that was from Jamaica, like a little figurine.
I'm gonna go get the doll.
Okay, go get it.
It's saged now, so it's good.
Yeah, we cleansed that doll, but we
don't think it's still haunted.
we got this little doll, and it was after that stuff started happening, and Sydney was like, I don't know about this doll. This doll must be cursed. But and she did. She was like, she threw it outside. She left it outside overnight, and I was like, you don't want to piss it off.
Yeah, it's just go get that thing. It.
Yeah, let's cleanse it. Let's sage it or something. But I mean, it's a beautiful doll. But this is her.
Wow.
So, I didn't know you saw that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool looking.
I also brought this just in case we wanted to use the Spirit Box app.
There's only a few minutes left, but I guess.
Jordan asked a really good question. Have you tried capturing Lori being animated in any way? For example, filming it in time lapse overnight, leaving it with a microphone overnight, anything like that?
No, I don't know if Lori's spirit is strong enough to like move things. Like, she's never done that before. So
Yeah,
no.
she has so Sydney's heard her, and that's more recently, like that's just really in the last couple months. She has activated the REM pod.
She's not even that good at turning the REM pod
She's
on.
not really that good at it. But she has before. I've been there where Sydney has asked her to, and she's done it.
Yeah,
So
she's good at making the EMF meter go off though.
So maybe her energy's getting a little bit stronger. Maybe that'll be something in the future, but I don't know. We'll have to see. I feel like she and Sydney are kind of learning together, which is weird.